to share the message of love. I go to share the blessed hope. But if I get discouraged, I call to Jesus' help, because I have decided I will go. I hear the voice of Jesus calling. My answer is, I will go. I see the need of people crying. My answer is, I will go. I go to share the message of love. I go to share the blessed hope. But if I get discouraged, I call to Jesus' help, because I have decided I will go.
It may not be on the mountainside or over the stormy sea. It may not be at the battle's front. My Lord will have need of me. But if by a still small voice He calls to paths I do not know, I'll answer, dear Lord, with my hand in Thine. I'll go where You want me to go. I'll go where You want me to go, dear Lord, or mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what You want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what You want me to be. Perhaps today there are loving words which Jesus would have me speak. There may be now in the paths of sin some wanderer whom I should seek. O Savior, if Thou wilt be my guide, though dark and rugged the way, my voice shall echo the message sweet. I'll say what You want me to say. I'll go where You want me to go, dear Lord, or mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what You want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what You want me to be. There's surely somewhere a lowly place in earth's harvest field so wide, where I may labor through life's short day for Jesus the crucified. Some trust casting my all unto thy care. I know thou lovest me. I'll do thy will with a heart sincere. I'll be what you want me to be. I'll go where you want me to go, dear Lord, o'er mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what you want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what you want me to be.
Please, ma'am, can you unmute?
My name is Martha Shamena from South Namibia Conference in Windhoek, Namibia. I just want to greet all of you, brethren, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, and those that are watching on different platforms, YouTube, and so on. I greet you in the name of our wonderful Savior, Jesus Christ, and I welcome you this morning to the Health Talk. I chose to speak about environment because we are living in the times where the world is going through a lot of changes globally due to global warming. But before I completely go on to this topic, I just want to say that if there was any time that we needed to take health reform seriously and to take it into action, that time is now. God has revealed the principles of hygiene, prevention, and self-care in the Bible and through the discoveries of science. True science is not contrary to the word of God. Rather, it helps to reveal his divine principles in the visible world. Faith-based groups and communities that follow these principles live longer, have lower cases of disease and disability, recover faster and more completely, and declare greater life satisfaction and quality of life under similar circumstances compared to those who do not follow such principles. Of course, health principles, although encouraged, cannot and should not be forced to anyone. Each of us has a God-given prerogative to choose freely for our own well-being and for those under our care. Science has shown that these life habits promote better health, but while they do not confer immunity to disease or assure us perfect holiness, they do help us have more responsive bodies and clear minds to greater spiritual discernment and better service to others. With this freedom to choose, people who develop these practices as habits are motivated by the reality of being God's dwelling place, since our bodies are his temple. That is from 1 Corinthians 3, verses 16 to 17. They are seekers of shalom, which is God's ideal for us in every aspect of our lives. And we're talking here about holistic health. They are careful about what they feed on physically, mentally, and spiritually. They are physically active as a way of life and have a healthy balance between activity and rest. They are not attracted by common destructive habits, such as drinking alcohol, smoking, and using drugs of any kind that negatively affect one's capacity to choose freely. They're moderate and prudent in their choices in life by avoiding anything harmful or hateful and shunning extremes in even what is good. They actively participate in medical healthcare programs that promote physical, mental, and dental health, following screening and prevention guidelines and seeking appropriate medical treatment in a timely manner. These practices promote health and foster hope that soon there will no longer be any sickness, suffering, and death. Shalom is a gift bestowed upon us by our gracious and generous Father, but at an enormous price, the life of his Son. He gave us instructions and the antidote for sin through Christ, our righteousness, through whom we can do all things. In loving response to such a precious gift, we yield our own ways and joyously embrace him for our own well-being so that we can attain peace or shalom. Scientific research on environment factors sheds light on God's original injunction and his warning about destroying our environment in Numbers 35, verse 33, and also in Revelation 11, verse 18. God gave Adam and Eve instructions about food, occupation, relationships, the environment, everyday living, and preserving shalom. By disobeying God's instruction and making the wrong choice, they faced sickness and death as God has warned them in Genesis 2:17. The environment was also cursed because of their sin. Thorns and thistles began to grow, and the ground did not easily produce fruits and vegetables. That means they had to work hard to be able to get food. God has provided us with everything we need for our well-being. He was clear on his prohibitions, which, if disregarded, would end in pain. This was true before the fall, and it is still true after the fall. But the situation has become more complex. The kind of environment we live in affects our health and that of others. Neglecting and destroying our environment will affect individual and collective health. Like Adam and Eve, even in our freedom to choose, we can still miss the mark, the ideal, the divine objective. Our very nature has become corrupted by the infection called sin, and everything in our world is affected by it. Humans, once the viceroys of Jehovah Shalom, have become agents of decay and participate in destruction of what has been entrusted to us. But there is hope. In our collaboration with heavenly agencies, God heals and restores. We can look forward to a new earth with a perfect environment someday. Now, According to Webster Dictionary, environment means any condition or circumstance that affect the development of an organism or a group of organisms. Environment includes many things that are surround us, such as the atmosphere, the climate, the sunshine, the water, the soil, and vegetation. Health-conscious people care for their environment. There are many pollutants like tobacco smoke, automobile emissions, industrial waste, smoke from burning grasslands, old oil, open dump garbage, sewage pumped into rivers and oceans. The community attitude towards pollution begins with the individual. Without a pleasant environment that includes fresh air, clean water, and sunshine, our health and survival will be negatively impacted. All life on Earth depends on the energy of the sun. In short, we may say life would cease if there was no sunshine. Sunlight is composed of many different energy levels transmitted in the form of electromagnetic waves. The rays of the sun expose humankind to 3 types of light of different wavelengths. They are invisible light, which are the ultraviolet light that provide the majority of biological effects, both positive and negative, to humanity's health. And this constitutes 5% of the solar radiation. There's infrared light, which provides the warmth, and this constitutes about 54% of solar emissions. There are visible light, which constitute 40% of the solar radiation. And also there are shorter cosmic X-rays, cosmic rays that are like the gamma X-rays, the longer radio waves, and the electromagnetic waves, and that constitute the rest. Sunshine in appropriate amounts is good for us, but too much exposure can put us at risk for skin damage and skin cancer. Plants cannot live without sunlight, for they require solar energy to make carbohydrates. Now we'll be looking at the benefits of sunshine. Sunshine helps maintain the ideal temperature of the planet. In this way, it supports both plant and animal existence, and is a vital ingredient in our environment. Plants require sunlight for photosynthesis. That is, they transform carbon dioxide and water into oxygen, the oxygen that we breathe. And of course, they also form organic substances like the vitamins, the proteins, the carbohydrates, fats, and fiber that we also need for our daily living. Sunlight produces vitamin D. The sunlight converts actually the cholesterol derivatives in the skin, which is the cholecalciferol, into vitamin D, which is then absorbed into the bloodstream. This, of course, the synthesis version of vitamin D can be gotten from the irradiation of vegetable oils with ultraviolet light. Sunlight helps in the building and repairing of bones through an increased level of vitamin D in the system. It enhances, vitamin D enhances the penetration of calcium into the bones, and in which case the bones are strengthened, and this helps prevent rickets and osteomalacia. Persons further from the equator, whose customs and culture require covering all the body surface, and those that are confined to bed, and infants who are insufficiently exposed to the sun, they all require vitamin D supplementation. This highlights the importance of vitamin D in the diet. Those in more equatorial climates, like in Africa, most of our countries in Africa, who rely on sunlight for their vitamin D conversion, require at least 5 minutes per day of exposure to the face and hands. Dark-skinned people, us Africans, I guess, we need 6 times more exposure to sunshine to produce an equivalent of vitamin D than do light-skinned people, where the sunlight is intense. Where the sunlight is intense, the best time for exposure to the sun would be in the early mornings or later evening. Sunlight kills many bacteria, viruses, and molds. If a petri dish in which bacteria have been grown is half covered and the other half of the dish exposed to the right sunlight, the covered part of the petri dish will swarm with bacteria, whereas the half exposed to the sun will show no growth at all because bacteria has been killed. And probably this explains partially why coronavirus infections, they skyrocket in winter and they tend to come down during summertime. There should be as much sunlight as possible in our homes, helping to destroy bacteria that is lurking in the dust. And Sister Ellen White says, in the building of houses, it is especially important to secure through ventilation and plenty of sunlight. Let there be a current of air and abundance of light in every room in the house. No room is fit to be occupied as a sleeping room unless it can be thrown open daily to the air and sunshine. That is when our environmentalists should come in and do inspections when people are building their homes. Very important. Sunlight powers the recycling of water. Evaporation raises clean distilled water into the air, where it condenses into clouds. As rain falls, it washes the air and dissolves nitrogen to the soil, as well as purified water to fill up streams, rivers, and lakes. Sunlight also influences the production of serotonin. Research has found that bright light as well as sunlight is associated with an increased serotonin production during the day, which may in turn prevent depression and tiredness. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. We use the word sad every day. You look sad. So the seasonal affective disorder, SAD, which occurs in countries where there are long winters with little sunlight, is regarded as a type of major seasonal depression and has many of the same symptoms as clinical depression. Those are loss of energy, change in appetite, tendency to oversleep, difficulty concentrating, and irritability. The cure to this is a very straightforward, and that is more light during the winter months. We should notice that 80 years before this disorder was recognized, Sister Ellen G. White, herself living in northern climate, said, "There are but a few who realize that in order to enjoy health and cheerfulness, they must have an abundance of sunlight, pure air, and physical exercise." Pollution of the atmosphere with polychlorinated hydrocarbons has led to a depletion of the ozone layer with an increased intensity of radiation. And as a result, the incidence of several varieties of skin cancers has increased. We have the likes of malignant melanomas and the squamous cell carcinomas and the likes. And so the broad-brimmed hats and sunscreens should be used to protect the skin. Sunscreens come in varying strengths, usually expressed as sun protective factors or SPF. A value of about 30% is recommended. This should be applied before going out for long periods into the sun and reapplied frequently as required, for example, after swimming. Pollution of the atmosphere is the most significant and serious problem. Carbon dioxide emission is considered to be a major contributor to global warming, which has become a devastating problem for the population of the world. Today, our weather has become unpredictable. We are in October, but as you can see, it is chilly here in Windhoek. Normally, in Namibia, we were used to having warm summers. By October, it's completely hot. Now I'm in a jacket because this morning is chilly here. These are some of the effects of global warming. Industrial emissions with their heavy sulfur content have resulted in acid rain, which can destroy vegetation and increase acidity of lakes, actually resulting in sterilization of this, of the livelihood in these lakes. That is killing the animal life and vegetation that are found in these lakes. People that are living in heavily industrialized areas are known to have increased respiratory problems. Now, I think restrictive lung diseases like your bronchitis, your asthma. A smog-polluted atmosphere can decrease the growth rate of children's lungs by 1% per year, leading to more chronic respiratory problems in adulthood. As concerned inhabitants of the world, we need to protect our environment by acting on deforestation, pollution, energy use, water and waste management. Particularly, I would like to make a remark about my country, Namibia. When it comes to deforestation, Namibia is a semi-desert country, But the rate at which deforestation is going on at personal levels and even, at higher levels, it is very disappointing. Namibia is supposed to be a tree planting country, not a tree cutting country. But we are doing inverse. We are cutting those scarce trees. Some of them big trees that have been there for centuries. And it will take another centuries, many, many centuries to grow such trees. It's such a, for timber selling and for other reasons, it is such disheartening. We should be responsible. So these water and waste management and deforestation and so on, pollution, they are issues for both industrialized and developing nations. At a personal level, the use of energy is of critical concern. The size of our homes, the cars, utilization of electricity are all topics for thoughtful personal reflection. Other sources of energy, such as solar, wind, and water, should be used where possible. Each person can help overall situation. Just switching off a light and raising or lowering thermostat temperatures by 1 or 2 degrees could save energy significantly. Could we walk instead of driving? Cooking often uses more energy than needed. Could we eat those foods that do not necessarily need cooking? Could we eat them raw? Like most of the vegetables, tomatoes, and so on, those that we can eat raw. We also would get a lot of benefits when we do that. Sewage polluted water can cause infection. Industrial waste, water pollution by mercury, lead, and polychlorinated biphenyls because of carelessness is equally serious. The water supplies of the world are becoming less and less suitable for drinking. Protection of our water supplies should be very important to all of us. The dumping of waste products onto the soil, whether radioactive, old oil, toxic chemicals, or materials that do not decay and biodegrade naturally, damages the soil and causes health problems. Many plastics will remain for decades. Problems associated with chemical fertilization and pesticide residues continue to pose challenges to both farmers and environmentalists. Irrigation projects and their associated chemical fertilizers have in many instances resulted in serious alteration of soil composition. Just as our environment should be beneficial for us, God in his love and mercy to humankind has provided to everyone, regardless their status, an atmosphere of peace, joy, and contentment. God gives to all the blessing of life. He makes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good. Matthew 5:45. Now I will talk briefly about the environment at home, which is also very, very important or equally important. Our homes are actually supposed to be custodians of love, peace, joy, patience, temperance, kindness, loyalty, gentleness, and purity. That's how our home are supposed to be. We are supposed to come together during family altars and share the word of God and spend quality time with our Creator and with one another. We are supposed to enjoy our meals together. We are supposed to garden together. We are supposed to play together as families. A house is supposed to be a place of solace. When we are battered by the world outside, we should be longing to come home to a peaceful place and loving place and so on. But what is happening today, we have turned our homes into battlefields. And this is because mostly of many families indulge in alcohol and sexual chastity and allows the devil to lead them in their homes rather than allowing the rock of ages and to guide them and lead them in their homes, or rather build their homes on the rock, which is Christ. And so as a result of this, small children and young people, when they go out in the world and they are battered, they have nowhere to run to, because when they come home is another battlefield. So they are completely lost. And no wonder mental health is on the escalate. It's on the increase. Remember, from the womb up to childhood, there are so many things and so many situations that we cannot control. And the brain of a child is like a sponge. It absorbs everything. Everything that we do from when we were in the womb, everything that parents are doing from when we were in the womb until when we grow and become older, somehow contributes to what we become tomorrow. And so, with all these challenges, and that is why they say when a mother is pregnant with a is pregnant, it should be joyful, full of praises, and so on and so forth. It's because of this effect. But I want to say also that John 16:33, Jesus tells us that in this world you will have many troubles, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I thank you.
message of love. I go to share the blessed hope. But if I get discouraged, I call to Jesus' help, because I have decided I will go. I hear the voice of Jesus calling. My answer is, I will go. I see the need of people crying. My answer is, I will go. I go to share the message of love. I go to share the blessed hope. But if I get discouraged, I call to Jesus' help, because I have decided I will go.
It may not be on the mountainside or over the stormy sea. It may not be at the battle's front. My Lord will have need of me. But if by a still small voice He calls to paths I do not know, I'll answer, dear Lord, with my hand in Thine. I'll go where You want me to go. I'll go where You want me to go, dear Lord, or mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what You want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what You want me to be. Perhaps today there are loving words which Jesus would have me speak. There may be now in the past of sin some wonder whom I should seek. O Savior, if Thou wilt be my guide, though dark and rugged the way, my voice shall echo the message sweet. I'll say what You want me to say. I'll go where You want me to go, dear Lord, or mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what You want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what You want me to be. There should be somewhere a lowly place in earth's harvest field so wide, where I may labor through life's short day for Jesus the crucified. So trusting my all unto Thy care, I know Thou lovest me. world to